Hi everyone, Danielle here. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my little Flosstube channel where I talk about cross-stitching and where we believe in pronouns and vaccines and that abortion is healthcare and that we do not support AI, especially in the arts. What else? Black Lives Matters. Your trans and immigrant neighbors are not why you are struggling. Smash the patriarchy, eat the rich, all that good stuff. We are, what's the new word for it? Leftist liberal scum. And if any of that was triggering for you, you're probably not in the right place. I know that Whip Parades can bring in some new audience members, so if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much for returning to my channel. I appreciate all of you. Some disclaimers about this Whip Parade. It is currently 1 o'clock in the morning on January 1st, 2026, and you may end up hearing fireworks because people suck and don't care about dogs and veterans who have PTSD. And so I've spent the evening taking care of my dogs. I may end up having to do more editing due to said issues. But yeah, so you might hear some fireworks in the background. Also, I have some music playing on the TV. It's super, super low, but I was just trying to keep like something on for the dogs while I do this. So there is some very, very faint music in the background that like your headphones might pick up, but I'm hoping that shouldn't be an issue for YouTube. So yeah, like I said, if you're new here, just small introductory to me. Like I said, my name is Danielle. My pronouns are she, her. I live in a suburb of Portland, Oregon. I live with my husband and my 2 dogs, and we also live with my husband's brother who's mentally disabled. So it's basically our full-time job taking care of him. And Portland, born and raised, lived here my whole life. I have been cross-stitching now for 5 years. I've had 5 full years. I started cross-stitching in August of 2020 and went down the rabbit hole really hard. I've been doing regular floss tubes on this channel, I think now for 3 years. Normally, if you're new here, this face-to-face situation only happens for Whip Parades. I normally do my floss tubes vlog style where I'm just showing you the project that I worked on I'm like sitting on the couch and I'm just showing the work itself because I found that this sort of sit down at the table, have all my things around me, having to clean it up, you know, put it all away, like it just didn't work out for me. But yeah, I've been doing regular floss tube now, I think since 2022. And I used to do my Whip Parades around-ish my birthday because that was kind of when I started my floss tube on this channel. But last year, in 2024, I should say that now, not last year. In 2024, I started actually tracking all of my stitches. And so I wanted to move my Whip Parades to the start of year so that I would have all of my statistics. So here we are with another year of stitching. I have some statistics to go over first. As I read this, I'm also gonna like put some graphics up on the screen. Some of the graphics are reiterating what I'm saying out loud, but there are some other graphics too, just in case you either like learn or like absorb better just in case you absorb better by seeing reading information. And also there's some information in the graphics that I just didn't write down, like some monthly breakdown stuff. But yeah, so in 2025, I did 83,959 stitches over 319 days, which in comparison to 2024, I did 88,505 stitches over 297 days. So in 2025, I did 22 more days of stitching, but a good 45, almost 4,600 less stitches. So I don't know what that is about. I don't entirely love that. I started 38 projects in 2025. I finished 31 projects. 27 of those were starts and finishes. So I started them in 2025 and I finished them in 2025. 4 of the finishes were from previous years. I have 2 whips from 2021, 2 whips from 2022, 2 whips from 2023, 2 whips from 2024, and 11 whips from 2025 that I started and did not finish in 2025. So I will be showing you a total of 19 whips. And just before I move on to the actual whip portion of the whip parade, I did want to show I am abandoning 2 whips. These were both 2024 whips and I am abandoning them. I will show you and explain. So this is Twisted Rainbow Sampler by Northern Needlework Expressions. In 2025, I did do 1,603 stitches over 8 stitching days. And when the reason I decided to abandon this is when I was putting my notes together for this whip parade, I was like writing down, you know, how many stitches I've done, how many are left. And I saw that there was still like 18,000 stitches to do in this. And I just said to myself in that moment, I don't love this enough to put another 18,000 stitches into it. So it is getting abandoned. A large issue that I have with working on it is that I want to be able to like work on an entire band at a time, and short of getting some kind of stand set up that actually works for me, I don't foresee being able to like get a frame that's like big enough that I can do that with. So I don't particularly enjoy working on it. And then I was just like, no, that's just too many more stitches. This other whip that I'm abandoning does hurt the heart a little bit. If you've been here for a while, then you may remember that earlier this year, I talked a lot about, I've talked a few times about this whip and like why it's problematic for me. And like there's more to the story now. So this is Coffee and Eggs by the Artsy Housewife. In 2025, I did 1,544 stitches on it over 5 stitching days. And y'all, like, so I was gonna just like power through this. I was gonna be like, look, I just need to get it done. I need to give it to its intended recipient and then wash my hands clean of the situation. But I saw the person over in the month of December, and it did not go well. It really didn't go well. And basically it went so, it's not that it's not like that meeting itself went so bad that I decided to do this. It was just the cumulative of everything that happened earlier this year, and then what's happened in between, and then this meeting that we had when they came in from out of town. I just could not anymore, and I have actually decided to, I'm not going to be initiating any more contact with this person. If they contact me, like, I'll respond, but I'm not going to be initiating any more contact. And, you know, if we'll ever have a confrontation about why, it will be up to them to, you know, ask me like, hey, what's wrong? Because I feel like if they are not interested in, getting to the bottom of why things have changed between us, then I can't like put myself out there to be clobbered again. I did think about, there's only like 5,000 stitches left in this thing. And I do have a fair few like stitchy friends. Like I could name, you know, 5 to 10 off the top of my head that I would feel comfortable reaching out to them and being like, hey, you know, could I like mail this to you and you put in like 500 to 1,000 stitches? Because I did quasi consider that like maybe stitchy love, you know, from fellow friends would sort of help mitigate the bad feelings that I have about this whip now. But I just don't see a world where I have this hanging on my wall and I don't think about what happened with the person it was supposed to go to. So I am going to take a picture of this and I'm going to offer it up to, I'm in a couple like group chats. I'm gonna offer it up to friends first. I'm really hoping that somebody will like take this and love it, and like that can make me feel better, but I just don't think it can ever be on my wall. So really sad. I really, every time I've stitched on this, I have enjoyed stitching on this so much. Like it is perfect, like amount of block stitching, but like staying interesting because there's always kind of somewhere else to go with it. But this, I mean, I don't know, maybe someday, like I wouldn't rule out, like I won't delete the pattern. I wouldn't rule out that maybe someday I could stitch it for myself, but that piece is going away. Okay, so it's been like 12 minutes. So I have notes, and what I'm gonna try to do is while I read notes, I want to put up a picture on the screen as large as possible of what the finished product looks like. So this is your heads up now that like while you hear me reading stats, like if you're stitching, that's your cue to like look up to see what the project will look like in the future. And then for the first 8 projects that I have, because they were brought into 2025, I do have pictures for what it looked like at the beginning of 2025. So when I hold up the whip, then I'll put a side by side for a little bit. So like whip over here, old picture over here. And yeah, that's, hopefully I remember to say everything I want to say. My notes started out like really good, and then they started to get like sketchier as I went along. But yeah, okay, so here we go. I'm so excited. Okay, so my oldest whip is Trans Pride Tapestry by, the artwork is by Uncanny Kari, and the charting was by D's 20 Stitches. I started this in June of 2021, but then I restarted it on this piece of fabric in 2022. It's a 28 count Jobelin that was a mystery from a D-stash, and I'm using the called for DMC. In 2025, I added 2,966 stitches over 15 stitching days. This project has 21,520 stitches. I've done 10,235, and that leaves 11,285 stitches left. I am 47.56% complete. And here, so, and oh, and nothing is going to be ironed. If you've been here before, you know that. So here is what she looks like now. I'm trying to leave room over my face for what it looked like last year. But I've brought the unicorn down substantially. I don't really think I've done any plant work this year. I have been using this project for when I go to stitch groups because I have tons of fill-in. And I have learned that it's so easy to do fill-in work when I'm around other people. So that's been the game plan. Like I definitely brought the mane down and then outlined the face and the mane that's below the horn. And I've filled in the whole face. I've filled in the collar. And yeah, I've just been taking it to stitch group and filling in. And then it's so nice I don't have to bring my tablet or anything. And I can show you project bags like as I put stuff away or take stuff out. But I, just FYI, do not ever remember who project bags are from, but I have this in this cute little like I woof you love bag. I just thought it was cute. And at the time, because I started this really early on, I didn't have like a lot of really good project bag options. But I thought like love for trans community was good. Okay, so this next project, I don't have anything physically to show you. So I'm gonna put the cover up now as I talk. This is Spirits of the Dead by Modern Folk Embroidery. It is, but it's the inverted for dark color version, which doesn't actually have a cover photo. I started it in October of 2021, and it's on a 14 count Steel City Stitchers fabric from a forever ago box, and I'm using DMC Acro to stitch it. I have not put any stitches into it this year because it is my current round robin piece, so it is not in my possession right now. However, in 2025, I have done, I did a total of 3,411 stitches on the 2 round robin pieces that I've received. I've worked on Mandy's and I've worked on, I guess I worked on Michelle's because I haven't worked on Megan's yet. Megan's will be to me next week. And so, so that was 3,411 stitches over 15 stitching days. And now the picture that I'm showing you is the most current photo of my whip, the Spirits of the Dead, which is in Mandy's possession right now. And Mandy will be almost finishing it for me. And then when she sends it back, I'm just gonna put in however many stitches she left for me. I just told her to leave me a few, like, you know, 50, whatever. I just wanted to be the one to actually finish it. So it's practically not a whip because it will have so few stitches left when it comes back to me. However, I do still need to finish Megan's piece, so that's kind of why it is still a whip, is because I do still have stitches to put in for this round robin. Next up is in this project bag, which I actually know this is made by Corey, who makes bags for Acorns and Threads, sells them there. This is Forest Home by The Blue Flower. I started it in September of 2022 at the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. It is stitch completely called for because it was a kit from Pinwest. It is a 36 count linen. I remember it's XJU design, but I don't remember the name of the colorway. It's stitched with the called for, mostly DMC, but there are some specialty flosses. In 2025, I added 3,278 stitches over 11 stitching days. There are 14,038 stitches in the project. I've done 7,401, so I have 6,637 stitches left, and I'm at 52.72%. And here we are. I did a lot this year. You're seeing the side by side right now, but I know I did a lot. And yeah, I really love this piece. It's my only piece on linen, and it's going okay. I don't think I will, you know, I'm definitely not going to become a linen stitcher or anything. But yeah, oh, and I meant to say that, like, if I have any plans for the whip, I'm going to talk about plans for the whip. So Transpied Tapestry, going to continue to take that to Stitch Group Days, and I will definitely work on it, like, dedicatedly in June for Pride. I'm getting the round robin piece next week. I will pretty immediately try to finish that up probably. And then when I get my piece back, that'll be like an immediate put the last stitches in and get it done. This one, I don't have like a great time of year to work on it. It feels very springish to me, but also sort of like kind of August, September, I start thinking about working on it because I started it at Pinwest, which is in September. So yeah, I love it. There's a huge deer to stitch, tons of critters on the tree. But yeah, I cannot wait I really love this piece. All right. And sorry, I do have to put everything back, which is crazy because I'm going to take pictures after all this is said and done. So I'm just gonna have to take them back out of the bags. But so I do have to do the zippering and stuff. Okay, next up is Beachcomber by Lindy Stitches. I started it in September of 2022, but after the forest home, because the linen we got in that kit I couldn't see. But I did start it when I got home, like, so maybe the next week. I'm using a 16 count Picture This Plus, I believe in the colorway Dapple, with all the called for flosses. In 2025, I added 2,925 stitches over 12 stitching days. There are 9,191 stitches. I've done 7,499, so I have 1,692 stitches left. I'm 81.59% complete. And when I tell you that this is going to be a finish this year, it is going to be a finish this year. I took this to Stitch North and completed the rest of the fill-in on the box. I had only been to like, here. And so I did the whole rest of the box. And then I actually used this for Survivor stitching, and added all 4 critters that you see. I'm not quite done with that sea lion, but all 4 critters have been added via Survivor stitching. But yeah, I definitely plan to finish this in 2026. It's still about like hanging threads from being Survivor, being Survivor stitching. I do plan to do Survivor stitching again, and this might be a piece just because I feel like that could get it to a finish, just via that. And then I could just replace it if it does get finished. So I may start working on that as early as Survivor Season 50 premieres February 26th. It's in this bag, which is just a cute sea-themed bag. I believe, I might know that this was the 805 stitcher, maybe. Oh yeah, there's a tag. It helps when they brand it. 805 stitcher. Okay, next up, in this cute, this is a Kaylee tent stitch bag. It's got pride puppies. They're in so colorful things. Colorful hats and scarves and stuff. This is Move Forward by Modern Folk Embroidery. I started this piece in June of 2023. It is stitched on a mystery pink 16 count Aida that was in my stash. I'm using called for DMC, except all the vines are supposed to be like a blue color, and I'm using $37.99 instead. In 2025, I did 2,817 stitches over 11 days. There's 9,025 stitches. I've done 5,429, so I have 3,596 stitches left, and I'm 60.16% complete. And this is what we look like right now. I don't know if this is a finish in 2026. This would definitely be, I think, first in line to replace Beachcomber in Survivor stitching, just because I feel like with all the fiddly stitches, it would lend itself very well to, in Survivor, I only do between 25 and 125 stitches per like thing that happens, and with all the fiddly stitches in this, I think it would lend itself to that really well. But y'all, like, I mean, you saw the side by side. I added so much this year. Like, it doesn't even, like, visually, I'm like, I didn't do 3,000 stitches, and yet, like, I basically have filled in the whole outer area. Like, it looks visually much more impressive than 2,800 stitches normally looks. But yeah, the reason I don't know if I could finish this year is because the stitching is so fiddly. It drives me crazy. But besides Survivor stitching, I worked on this in February, because in February I decided to make it like a pink and love theme, and it hits all the marks. It's about love, it's on pink. So I will do that again in February, and then I will work on it in June as well for Pride. And then, like I said, maybe Survivor stitching. So it's a stretch goal. It's not gonna say it's impossible, but for sure in February and June. It's just, oh, the color changing is really unreal with this one. So it's not my favorite thing to stitch on. Okay, next up, it's in this project bag. This project deserves like a way better bag. I don't know why I don't have it in a better bag. I'm trying to think of all my bags and I don't necessarily know that I have a better bag, but this is the bag. This is My Home in the Garden by Hello from Liz Matthews. I started this in, so I started it, now for all my projects going forward, I have actual start dates. Before this, I wasn't tracking actual start dates, just start months and years. But I started this on September 22nd of 2023. It was my birthday start. My birthday is September 29th, but I tend now to like to start my projects about a week before my birthday so that I can like have progress on it by the end of that month. Anyway, it is stitched on a 32 count Jovelin called Not Another Sampler by Bestitch Me, which is the called for colorway, but not the called for like count. Sorry if the frame changed, y'all. I had to deal with a text message. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. Okay, 32 count Jovelin by Bestitch Me, Not Another Sampler, which is the called for colorway, but it was called for in a 36 count linen. And I'm using all the called for Gloriana silks, except that I have made 2 tweaks, which I'll point out when I show the piece. In 2025, I put in 4,517 stitches over 20 stitching days. The piece has 15,944 stitches. I've done 9,785. So I have 6,159 stitches left and I'm 61.37% done. And here it is. I have nicknamed this the prettiest damn thing I've ever stitched. I just wanna, yeah, this should be better. Yeah, I love this piece so much. In fact, I worked on it in February for my love theme because I was like, this is the project that I love the most. I think this will be my like most favorite finish when I do get it done. With having 6,000 stitches left, 2026, we are not in consideration for a finish in 2026. However, I believe, put over 3,000 stitches on it every year that I've worked on it. So finishing it in 2027, I believe, is a strong possibility. But yeah, so it's gorgeous. I love it so much. Okay. Oh, I said I was gonna point out the changes I made. So, the border, okay, so let me find. Okay, so this Q, that yellow that is stitched in, is supposed to be the border color. I thought it was a little too dark and like overbearing for the border. So I bought this color here, which is not called for in the pattern, this yellow. But I had that called for, as well as the other yellow that's called for, which is that yellow right there. And to make it like more cohesive, I'm using all 3 yellows on the inside. So for the letters and flowers and stuff, I'm using all 3 yellows, but I'm using that medium one that's not called for in the border. And then this letter here, this light baby blue, is supposed to be DMC equivalent of 503, which is kind of a green, but to me the chart looked like baby blue and I preferred the look of the blue, so I just bought a Gloriana that was more the tone that I liked from the cover. So yeah, that is My Home in the Garden. everything back. That is important. I don't know how people who have tons of whips do whip parades, the mess that it makes. Okay, next project is in this Pride bag. So I bet you can guess what's in here, or at least the theme of what's in here. This is called 9-Banded Pride Sampler by the Craft Experimentalist. I started this on June 1st of 2024. It's on a 20 count Meadow by Bestitch Me with the called for Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers silks. But I do think that I changed the purple, but I still bought, it's still a Fiberlicious Yummy Fiber silk. I just bought a different purple from her. In 2025, I added 2,215 stitches over 11 days. This project has 12,304 stitches. I've done 3,550. So I have 8,754 stitches left. I'm 28.85% done. And here we go. So I did do a lot this year. I really struggled with it last year when I worked on it in 2020, or yeah, you know what I mean. I struggled with it in 2024. I had to do a lot of frogging. The backstitch bands get to me, especially that orange one. I started it, I had to frog it, I think twice, not the whole thing, but I don't love stitching on this piece, but I do still think that I want the final product. So I think it's gonna stick around, but I won't lie. Knowing that I have to repeat that, you know, I have to repeat that thing over there is not bringing me joy. So she's gonna stay for now, but I definitely could potentially see myself UFOing this project if in the next 2 years I don't get as much progress as I would like and it's just not, you know, calling to me or sparking joy anymore. Okay, next, let's see. Yeah, we are in the 2024 whips. That 9-band Pride Sampler was the first 2024 whip that I am carrying. Okay, so this next one, which, here's the bag. I bought this bag special for this project. Purple butterflies, you'll see why. Water break. Okay, this project is Butterflies and Borders by the Etsy shop is called the Daily Pattern Post. It's stitched on a 20 count. I believe the colorway is Orchid by Fiber on a Whim with a classic colorwork floss. It's called Pansy Purple. So we're doing sort of a tone on tone situation. In 2025, I added 3,093 stitches over 18 days. There are 26,071 stitches in the project. I've done 5,292. So 20,779 remain, and I'm 20.3% complete. And there we are. Yeah, I did a lot. It felt good and significant. My plan for this, so I always work on birthday starts in September. So for sure it'll get seen in September, but hopefully an additional time as well, because this is sort of my plan for all my whips, but especially like bigger ones. I have a fairly general goal of doing 10 to 20% of a project every year. The bigger the project, the more likely it is to be 10%. The smaller the project, the more likely it is to be 20%. And this piece, I actually only needed to get it to 10% by my birthday to have it be, you know, 10% in a year, but I did 20% this last year. So This way, I don't have any whips that will turn more than 5 to 10 years old, even bigger ones like these. I consider over 15,000 stitches to be like the sort of threshold between 10 and 20%. So the fact that this is, 26,000 stitches and I'm already 20% done, that's very, very happy about that. So yeah, hopefully, but I at least want to get another 10% done this next year. So, yep. And she will basically take up all this fabric. She's big. Okay. Like I said, I bought a special bag. Oh, and actually, so I've been keeping needle minders in my bags when they're like, they're very themed and I only want to use them for that project. And my friend Michelle, who's part of our round robin, she had gifted me this needle minder in our first round robin, and it has my initial on it, so I keep it in here. So it's a special project. It was my 40th birthday when I started that. And I decided, like, I'm not kind of about that life of like start 40 things or whatever. So I decided to start a really big project. I thought 26,000, 26,000 stitches qualify. All right, so that was actually the last whip that will have a side-by-side progress picture, because all the rest of these have been started in 2025 and I'm carrying them into 2026. So this first one, this is another Corey bag. I bought it at Acorns and Threads. This is Acorns and Friends by Lola Crow. It was the Acorn Gathering pattern for 2025. It's stitched on, I believe this is 16 count picture this plus title with the called for DMC. I started it on January 28th, 2025. I've done 2,797 stitches out of 7,529 over 15 different stitching days. I have 4,732 stitches remaining, so I'm 37.15% done. And here is where we are. The bulk of all the stitching happened from Survivor stitching. When I started it in January, I did stitch the whole raccoon, but the rest of this has all come from Survivor stitching basically. And I love this piece. I hate working on this piece and I'm not particularly drawn to working on it. So it will for sure be a Survivor stitchy project again, because that forces me to work on it. And I mean, honestly, 4,700 stitches is not that much. Like, I think just chipping away at it with Survivor stitching is going to be how we're gonna get this done. Because it's just, I think Lola Crow is a genius. However, her, the shading that she does and the color changes that she does is on par with full coverage stitching, and it's just not my style. I don't like it. It's very easy to make a mistake. Yeah, it's super cute. And I really do want the finished piece. Otherwise I would not be, I would not be continuing. In fact, I started with that raccoon because I was like, if I decide I don't actually want to do the rest of this, then I just have a little staff from the event. But no, I'm a sucker and the whole thing is really cute, so. Okay, this next piece is in this cute little project bag from Forbidden Fiber Co. Got it with like a mystery kit, but I don't think I'm gonna do the mystery kit, but I kept the bag. And it is called Bark As If by Climbing Goat Designs. This is where my notes started to peter out. So I do not know what this fabric is, other than that it is a 16 count. I am using the called for DMC. I started it on March 10th, 2025. I believe I started it for, on Instagram, their handle is like Story Quest something, was doing like a pet memorial piece for their, I believe, cat who had passed away. And I kind of wanted to start this piece, and so I was like, I will stitch this sort of as a memorial to all my dogs that I've passed on. There are 2,852 stitches in the piece, plus a poop ton of back stitch, as you can see. I have done 814 whole stitches over 5 sessions. 2,038 stitches remain. I'm 28.54% done. And this is what it looks like right now. So you can see I did bark as if no one can hear you and catch every ball on the fly, I think. Yep. And yeah, then I had to put it down. The color changes for those gradient words is so cool, but it's annoying. And then the back stitch is super annoying. So I like to work on my dog inspired things in like July and August, because my dogs that I have right now, their birthdays are in July and August. So I hope to work on this. I mean, maybe in February too for love, because I love my dogs. Because only doing 2 bands a year would suck. That would turn this into like a 4-year project, and I don't want it to be a 4-year project. But so hopefully we can at least get, obviously, at least 2 more bands, but 4 bands would be great. Okay, my next project is Spring Quaker by Lila Studios. This is an interesting whip because what you're about to see, I have not stitched all this. I got this from my friend Gloria, who decided she didn't want to stitch on it anymore, and she was already 57% done with the piece. It is probably all called for because my girl Gloria is a very like called for kind of gal. So I started putting my own stitches into it on March 15th, 2025. I added 1,365 stitches over 8 days. There are 2,000, I wish, funny. There are 22,650 stitches, of which 14,469 are complete. So that means there are 8,181 stitches left. So the project is now 63.88% complete. And this is what it looks like right now. Oh my gosh. I love this piece. So I added, Gloria basically did all this work. I added, oh wait, oh my gosh, that's the back. That's the back, that's the back. Okay, there we go. I added that whole Quaker that's on the bottom next to the bunny, and I did more basket. She didn't have too much of the lower part of the basket done. So yeah, this year when I work on it in springtime, I would like to work on the basket more because that's very easy work. This is a 40 count linen. Not gonna lie, this is rough. It just takes so much more concentration than you would think. Like I can see it, but the fact that the holes are so small just makes it really, really, it's a very like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you understand what I mean. When I say that, like, for some reason, even though I can see it, I just have to think so hard about it, that it goes very slow for me. Needless to say, I do own all the seasonal Quakers. Any more that get started will be on 20 count Aida because they will be a matching size for finished product, but I will be able to not have to concentrate as hard. Okay, next we have, this is Infant, charted by Maxim Cross Stitch Design. I believe this is a 20 count Speculoos by Roxy Floss Co. I bought whatever was called for. And the flosses are a mix of called for, because like there was a couple different options that the chart gave you, and I bought all this at Stitch North. when I was there in April, and I definitely picked called for flosses. I unfortunately, oh wait, this is porcelain, the tag. I still have the tag on it and it tells me it's porcelain. It's 20 count Ada porcelain. And I only worked on this for 2 sessions at Stitch North. I did 258 stitches. The project has 11,866, so there are 11,608 stitches left. I'm only at 2.17%. Here's what I have. I did work every color into it, so you see all the colors that will be there: the light blue, the dark blue, the kind of pea green yellow color, and the darker green. And yeah, I do plan to work on this in January. Heather of the 20-Minute Stitcher is doing, she's calling it Jumpstart January. So things that she doesn't have to like the certain percentage she would like them to be. And I kind of find that I tend to lean that way too. Like, it's been really bothering me that I have this project and another project that aren't over 10%, which is where I like my projects to be for a start. And I always kind of want to work on them in December, but I'm doing Christmas stitching. So I'm gonna pull it out in January for sure and hopefully get it to 10%. It lives in this bag that Lake Girl Stitches made. She was one of my table mates at Stitch North and gave us project bags, and so I put it in here. If I'm not careful, it's gonna make a big clink sound against my chair when I set it down. Okay. Next. Hold please, I have to go get the next one. Okay, this next project is Big City Christmas by Country Cottage Needleworks. It is 7 individual charts that I will be stitching all together in one long piece. I'm stitching it on 16 count Latte by Fiber on a Whim with the, I'm pretty sure they're all called for flosses. If I changed anything, I don't know that it called for DMC 5200. It might have called for a fancy floss and I changed that. And I may have picked, I know a couple DMCs were called for, so I just can't remember if I made a judgment call that like there was just something with too few stitches for me, but mainly it is all called for or the DMC alternative. I started this on July 9th, 2025. There are 16,912 stitches in the whole project. I've done 3,116 over 11 stitching sessions, so I have 13,796 remain. I'm at 18.42%, and this is where I got to. It's still in the queue stamp because I was working on this yesterday. But yeah, I have completed this entire building. I am making some changes because so I wanted to stitch this because as soon as I realized that it was in fact a New York inspired stitch, I decided, so like originally this was charted to say department store. I changed it to say Macy's because I feel like that's obviously what it was intended to be, was Macy's. And then like in future ones, like the Radio City Music Hall is in here, but it just says Music Hall, and I'm gonna change it to say Radio City. I can't fit Radio City Music Hall, but I'm gonna say Radio City. And then in certain ones, like this building that I've started here is the theater, and I went to see Moulin Rouge, and that is at the Al Hirschfeld Theater, so I'm gonna put in Hirschfeld. And on the little marquee, the like now playing, I think it actually said now playing, but I changed it. It's gonna say Moulin Rouge. So I'm making a lot of personalizations for my own New York experiences. But yeah, I love this piece. Absolutely love it. And I also feel like getting it to nearly 20% is really good for the size of it. Like I said, it is almost 17,000 stitches, so she big. Yeah, I was still on the queue stamp and I forgot to bring it over for the start of the parade. Okay, my next project is in this bag. I forget who the maker was, but I bought it at Stitch North from one of the Canadian bag makers. Because even though I didn't start this at Stitch North, I bought all this at Stitch North. This is Ode to a Good Dog by Maximum Cross Stitch Design. This is the one that might be on Speculoos. 20 count, yes, 20 count. I was having a 20 count moment for sure. It is with the Called For Roxy Floss Co. I started it on August 7th of 2025. The project has 10,697 stitches. I've done 1,445, so 9,252 remain. I did the over 8 sessions. I'm 13.51% complete, and I'm stitching this as a dedication to my dog Lucy, who passed away in 2020. So yeah, it's super sweet, but this border is annoying AF because those flowers do not have a lot of colors in them. So, or not a lot of stitches in them, so it's a lot of starting and stopping. But yeah, I love it. So I will work on it more in either for the love season or again, like sort of dog birthday gotcha day. Her gotcha day, we didn't know when her birthday was, but her gotcha day was in September. So yeah, I think that's, my notes have gotten very scant now, so hopefully I'm saying everything I need to be saying about these pieces. Okay, next up, this is an Akali tent stitch bag that I got at Stitch North. I loved the like retro vibes of this, and then it's even like got this like cool upholstery fabric. It is called Sampler of the Sea by Carriage House Sampling. Now this project, I know I'm stitching this on a 32 count Bestitch Me fabric. I think the colorway might be called Dune. I'm stitching it with all the called for NPI silk, except there was one sub because the shop I was at didn't have it, so I used the DMC. I bought all this when I was at Stitch New England last year. It was sort of my shop souvenir piece, and I started it on August 19th for the summer vibes. There's 3,127 stitches in the whole piece. I've done 1,526. 1,601 stitches remain, and I'm 48.8% complete. Oh, I did that over 5 stitching sessions. And here's where we are. It's so cute. I did 2 complete lines. There are 2 more lines, so hopefully this could be a finish this year. Definitely will strive for that. I do think it pushed myself a little bit to do that many stitches, but like hopefully a stubborn crafter will kick in. I'll be so close to a finish that I want to get it done. So yeah, hoping to finish that this year. I love this bag. I thought it was so appropriate. Okay, next. This is another project that I will be working on in January, as it does not have a good start on it. Oh man, my bucket, like everything has fallen over in the bucket, so I can't. Okay, it is in this cute bag that I bought this year, and I just thought it was super cute and fall themed, and I kind of feel like this piece has fall vibes. It is called Una the Owl by the Artsy Housewife. I have no idea what I'm stitching it on, other than that it's a 32 count Bestitch Me Jobelin. This was a complete color conversion. I'm using just everything across the board. I just sort of I pulled the called for DMC and then looked through my stash for what looked like. Actually, I pulled the DMC alternatives to the called for, and then just kind of picked from my stash. I started it on September 12th, 2025 at Pinwest because I wanted an Artsy Housewife start because Gigi was one of the featured designers. I did 392 stitches out of 5,441 just on one day. So 5,139 stitches remain. It's 5.5% complete. So this is all we have. I started that border and started the first plant. But yeah, I don't think that this would be a finish this year. We'll see how far I get in January. And then if I can do any more later in the year, then perhaps. I am really good at touching my stitches once per year. I would like to be a lot better at getting to them 2 or 3 times a year. And so if I can get to this 2 times, it could be a finish. But if not, it will for sure be finished in 2027. Yeah. Okay, next page and next whip. We're getting down there. I only have 3 whips left. Water. Okay, this next piece is in this bag that I bought at Stitch New England as well. So the sampler of the C, I bought that at the actual Stitch New England shop. This bag and this material for this project, I bought at the actual retreat. They do like a pop-up shop. And I bought this bag, this fabric, this floss, actually even the needle minder that's in here, I bought that there too. But I had bought a different pattern and I put 1 stitch into it. I ended up spending my whole time at the retreat working on other stuff, but I wanted to get 1 stitch into it. So I did that. And then I actually went to Salem. You'll see it's a Salem piece. I actually went to Salem like the next week after the retreat, and I just no longer felt comfortable with the vibe of sort of a humorous piece about Salem. So I ended up still using the same fabric and same floss, but I bought this pattern, which now will be on the screen, by the Witchy Stitcher, called Salem in Memoriam. And I'm just using all the same stuff that I bought for that other piece, and I even kept my first stitch. I managed to work the fabric. I wish I could tell you what this fabric was. I feel very strongly that it is an Atomic Ranch fabric, but I cannot remember the colorway. But it is 16 count, and the floss is an NPI silk. It's a very very brown, like a, what is that floss? What is that DMC color? I don't remember, but it's a very dark brown. And I am only making very slight modification. The original pattern does call for some white, and I am not doing that. So the piece will have 2,646 stitches. I've done 1,779 stitches over 8 days. There are 867 stitches remaining. I started it on October 9th. I'm 67.23% done. So this will be a finish in 2026. I love it. This fabric is so good. It's just so good. It is like the epitome of like a moldy, musky graveyard, you know? Yeah, I really wish I could remember what it was called, but yeah. So yeah, this worked up really nice. Mainly the white was in the angel, tombstone angel's face, so I'm not doing that. And then there was some other spots like in between diamonds and stuff that was supposed to have it, and I'm just not doing it. So in markup, I did take out the stitches that I won't be doing. So that's how I know how many are the total pattern as. But yeah, the pattern that I had bought was from the Primitive Hair, and it said 1692, you missed one. And after actually going to Salem, I just didn't feel like doing like a funny piece about Salem. So just didn't fit my mood. This next piece, I've had this project bag for a while. Oh, it's an Evertote bag, cute. And in it lives my next Salem piece. This is Salem Remembered by the Primitive Needle. As many of you may know, the Primitive Needle was very out of print for a very long time. And I remember distinctly being in the car, Googling Salem patterns and finding this pattern and being like, well, I'm out of luck. But I kept an eBay alert for it, and then, but before I could ever find it on eBay, even for an unreasonable price, the daughter of the designer decided to start charting her mom's patterns into PDFs. So I purchased the PDF. I started it on, this is 16 count Latte by Fibrana Whim. And I started it on October 19th, 2025. The pattern has 6,588 stitches. I've done 1,849. So 4,739 stitches remain. I worked on it for 9 days and I'm 28.07% complete. And here we are. I definitely do not think this will be finished in 2026. Might not even be finished in 2027. The words do kind of get boring for me. And really all I'm gonna have for a long time is names and border. So, but yeah, you know, if I can do, I did 28% this year, so if I can do 25% per year, then that's 4 years, and I'm happy with that, even though the stitch count doesn't necessarily lend itself to being a 4-year project. But I do tend to only work on Halloween spooky stitches once per year. I don't ever pull them out at a different time of year, so just kind of has to be a reality that my Halloween fall things or spooky things will be longer term whips because I only work on them in October. Yeah, we are at the last project now. It's in this cute, this is also a Corey bag, bought it at Acorns and Threads. This one isn't themed because I just needed a project bag for this, and this had happened to be freed up, and so I just threw it in here. But this is called New York State of Mind. I am stitching it on I believe this is a 14 count Live and Die LA fabric of some kind. I believe it's an opalescent, and I'm pretty sure that I just had it cut off from some other project, so I just grabbed it and started. I started it on November 2nd, 2025. There are 2,035 stitches in the piece. Now I am modifying it to, instead of just saying New York State of Mind, it's going to say I'm in a New York State of Mind. So that stitch count does reflect that. I've done 412 stitches, so there's 1,623 stitches left. I worked on it for 1 day. I'm 20.25% complete, and here we are. I'm almost done with the Empire State Building / starting to work on her hair soon. And I started this for Andrew doing the runner stitcher, doing the New York City Marathon, and also I was traveling to New York the next day, so it felt super appropriate. And I actually would like to, after I'm done working on my New Year, New Start, this is gonna be the project that I work on because it'll actually be like the anniversary of when I was in New York last year. I was there like January 3rd through 8th, I think. So, and I hope to just finish this. It's like I said, only 1,600 stitches remain, so hopefully this can be a finish. I really wanted it to be a finish this year to not carry it, but here we are. It is what it is. But yeah, so that's it. Those are all my whips. Yeah, I feel pretty good about my whip situation. Like I said, my general goal is to advance projects 10 to 20% per year. Bigger projects. You can see really all I have left is pretty much big projects. Like that's kind of the exception. And so, and also it would be nice to touch things twice per year instead of just once per year, but that doesn't happen with everything. Like I said, the Halloween stuff, it definitely doesn't happen. And then I do tend to theme my months a little bit. So like I said, in January, I will be focusing on 2 projects for sure. I'm gonna do my New Year, New Start, and then I'm gonna do the New York State of Mind, which I feel like is finishable. And then I'm gonna work on the 2 projects that I don't yet have to 10%. In February, I will work on projects on pink that feature love as a theme, and also like projects that I love, or subject matters that I love. So like I said, I could work on my home in the garden, and I could potentially work on a dog project. March, April, May just feels kind of springy to me. I don't really have any specific themes that I do in those months. June is reserved exclusively for stitching on designs by queer designers. So I do have Move Forward and the Craft Experimentalist piece, and Transpire Tapestry. I don't limit myself just to like queer designs, but definitely only queer designers. Maybe I'll work on my New Year, New Start in June because that's a modern folk embroidery piece. In July and August, like I said, I do tend to either want to gravitate towards my dog things or summer things. So Sampler of the Sea and my Ode to a Good Dog and my Bark as If piece are definitely good options for July and August. In September, I will put more work into Butterflies and Borders, and also my home in the garden, and I feel like I'm forgetting about a birthday start. I can't think. If I have a third one, I can't think of it. So September is kind of for birthday starts. In October, that's for spooky stitching, so Salem in Memoriam and Salem Remembered will get worked on. And then November and December are kind of like Christmassy, wintry, but I could fit in a couple other things in there, especially November, because right now my only Christmas project is Big City Christmas. So my November and December right now are looking wide open. I will do, like I said, I am gonna do the Survivor Stitchy game again. I am gonna make some modifications though to how I tried to do it in the fall. First of all, I think that the Survivor stitching needs to be what I stitch while I watch Survivor. So that means when we start Survivor, I won't be stitching anything that week. I will write it all down, and then I will start the Survivor stitching for week 1 while I watch week 2. Watching Survivor is always actually a 3-hour endeavor because, well, like 2 hours and 20 minutes after commercials, because I watch Survivor and The Amazing Race. So I feel like I can accomplish a lot of the stitching, excuse me, while I watch Survivor and The Amazing Race. But then I will just, I'll continue to roll with it even if I don't get it done by the end of Amazing Race. But I'm also not going to vlog the Survivor stitching. I will just put it in my normal Flosstube. Probably not every week, though. I will probably just wait until the end of the month and then show the progress that I've made over the course of the month. And also, I am going to, like at the beginning, give myself permission that if I'm gone during Survivor, because I know for sure that I'm traveling for Stitch North during the season of Survivor, then I'm going to wash that week, not record anything to have to do any stitches that week, because where it got less fun for me in the fall was when I got behind due to traveling and having to do all the catch-up stitching. I wasn't okay with that. So I wasn't in the mindset of like, just let it go and like start fresh. I just had to let it go for good. So I'm gonna go into season 50 with the mindset of, if I'm traveling and I am not gonna be home for Survivor, then I'm not doing it that week. And then yeah, like I said, not vlogging it. It'll just go in my normal Flosstube. But yeah, I do hope, and then like I said, I will probably use Beachcomber, Acorns and Friends. I was using the coffee and eggs piece as the other piece. Not sure which, maybe, probably not a good idea to have two fiddly pieces in there, so probably not move forward. Maybe the other artsy housewife piece, the Una the Owl, maybe. We'll see. I got a couple months to decide, like about 7 weeks to decide which pieces I'm gonna use. And I will be doing the same thing where I only am picking 3 for the tribes, and whatever tribe you were assigned to when the game started, that is the whip that I work on for you, even once it's an individual game. So yeah. And then other than that, I don't really have plans for 2026. I would like to, you kind of saw my stats for the year. It really did break my heart that I did not surpass the number of stitches I did in 2024. That had been a goal for me. Didn't happen. However, I did stitch more days, so that's good. That's a step in the right direction. November and December tanked me. That is why I didn't at least surpass. But all the traveling that I did really tanked the end of the year for me. So hopefully, I tend to average about almost 7,000 stitches a month. So at least trying to hit that. But yeah, so I think that is all that I have to say for this Whip Parade. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. If you are a Whip Parade progress person, please take your before and after picture and tag me on Instagram. I would love to see what you worked on and how far you got during this. I don't know how long it was because I got interrupted multiple times. But yeah, so happy stitching, and here's hoping for a gentle, peaceful 2026 and for lots of stitching, and yep, wishing you all the best, all the good vibes, everything, and thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.